the head coach of University of Notre Dame football. Joining me here, we're back on the Rich Eisen Show, Brian Kelly. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing good, Rich. I feel Mike Tomlin's pain. We've experienced a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, how do you handle that as a head coach?
You know, when you lose your quarterback, it's one of those things. You better have the guy that you believe can go out there and get it done. I know the NFL is so much more difficult. You watch what's happening to the Cowboys. Mike's been able to do a great job of piecing it together and finding a win or two with a backup. You know, in college, you have to have a number two that can go out and win for you, because he goes down, you can't just write your season off. And Deshaun Kaiser's been able to come in and do great things for
Yeah,
us.
I know. I'm sure the Cowboys wish they could have a Kaiser that they could go to right now. I mean, how does a coach handle at least that part, that you've tried everything and it still hasn't come up with a win? How does that sit in a head coach's brain?
Well, as you know, Dallas went through, Brandon Whedon, and then went out on the waiver wire and tried to find. We don't have a waiver wire. You got to do a really good job in your evaluation and recruiting, and so when we're recruiting quarterbacks, I'm the one who's making the final decision on them. And I don't know if the NFL works the same way, where the head coach gets the final decision on whether he drafts a quarterback or not. But that's the one great thing about college, is that the head coach gets to make those final decisions, and he finds the guy that fits the system and has the character and knows that he can go in there and handle all the pressures of the position.
But that said, in the pro ranks in the NFL, your record is what you're judged on in terms of whether or not you get to play in postseason play. This is out of your control right now. I mean, all you could do is continue to win games and hope that there's a panel of people that believe that your record and your one loss being to the number one team outweighs anybody else's. Am I right?
Absolutely, yeah. When you're dealing with four, certainly, that's the way it goes. When you have so many teams, 128 vying for four slots, you're going to have to, certainly, impress them in other ways. The eye test is important, and your strength of schedule. And I think we've put together a pretty good schedule to date, and continue, I think, in that same vein. But you're right; you don't control everything in this situation when you're dealing with just 4 teams.
So, are you just going to be sitting around a TV tonight, watching the Worldwide Leader, hoping to see your team up there? Do you do that?
Not necessarily, because I still think there's so much more football to be played. I think it'll play itself out one way or the other. For us, we have to win all of our games, so tonight's not really a factor for us one way or the other. It's more about us, winning each and every week, and then that's really the deciding factor for us is to win each and every week.
So then let me ask you these questions while there's nobody can accuse you of having an axe to grind because you're on the outside looking in, because there is still a lot of football left to be played. Would you be in favor of 8 teams getting in instead of 4?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what's the roadblock? Why aren't there 8 teams?
Conference championships, and how does that play into, the 8-team playoff and the extension of the season? Do you lose the conference championship games as an addition game? Now you start moving this thing into late January. Is that feasible? If you give up the conference championship games, obviously that's a financial consideration. So that's a little bit above my pay grade, but I know that those are the things that would be the impediments to 8.
But that's of no concern to you, because there is no conference championship for your team, and that's
no concern to me. But in answering the question, what would be the impediments to going to 8?
No, I know that, but that was also my way of pointing out that many people believe, let's say, Baylor or anybody else in the Big 12 might leapfrog above you, and as they all these teams are in contention in that conference because they play in a conference. That simple, Coach. How do you respond to that?
But I would take my 12 games and say that my 12 games are better than the 13 that they played. And if they let me play a 13th game, I'll play a 13th game, but they just won't let me play a 13th game as an independent. So, but again, I would say that my 12 games and the strength of my 12 games and the wins that I'll have in my 12 games are better than the 13 games that other schedules have shown.
And that's even without having Michigan on your schedule.
Coach. Well, That's what we're trying to work on.
Oh no, yeah, you got an update for me on that?
Nothing yet. I'll have to talk to you off the
Offline.
off the show.
Okay, let's do that because I'm available. I'm available. I'd love that. I miss it. I miss
Me
it, Coach.
too.
You know, I miss that. This is what it's all about. I remember Rocket Ishmael destroying my year and my life and just leaving me in pieces back in my senior year in
Jim's
19.
doing a great job. So it would, you'd have two programs that obviously are building it at the same time.
Okay, let's talk about the here and now. I'm with Brian Kelly, coach of Notre Dame football. How's Procise, your running back, C.J. Procise, undergoing the concussion protocol? How is he?
Yeah,
for
he's
Wake?
in the next stage of that physical activity today, and then we'll see how he handles that after physical activity. He's then evaluated, and then they allow him to move to contact after physical activity. So we won't know until he goes through that physical activity today, and that's about 3 o'clock today.
And this is your last game in South Bend next week because you got Stanford at the end of the year. Next week you're playing in Fenway Park.
Fenway Park, where I grew up,
Coach?
going to ball games with my dad, and watching Collier Stremski, and I was at the '75 World Series and watched Carlton Fisk hit that home run.
No,
so
you were there?
Got great memories of it. It'll be fun going back to where I was born and brought up.
You were there that night when Carlton was using the body language?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Good stuff, huh?
Yeah. So who is your guy? Who do you still pay attention to the Red Sox now?
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking at in my office. I've got a David Ortiz bat on my wall, who doesn't like Big Papi?
Well, listen, this is amazing because I like you so much. We get along, and I'm a Michigan Yankee guy, and I mean,
well, opposites attract then.
Clearly, but but an interesting thing though is when you go to Fenway, the way it's going to be configured. Is it true that you and BC will be on the same sideline?
Yes.
Because
we're trying to work. That'll be the first time that I've coached on the same sideline. It'll be interesting when your team's down the other end, how that all works with signals. I think the guys have to turn all the way around to get the signals. So we're trying to work through that. We're getting some video when they played up in San Francisco. At the Giants ballpark, where they had to put both teams on the same sideline just to see the logistics of it, because I'm a bit concerned.
Yeah, is there going to be like a buffer between the two?
Yeah, there is a bit of a kind of a buffer area between the two teams.
Okay, is the buffer David Ortiz himself? Is he going to stand between? Is that the way it's going to be?
No, but we'll certainly have some Boston people there at the game.
Yeah. I bet. Brian Kelly, head coach of Notre Dame football, joining me here. What happened at Missouri this week? I'm wondering what your take is on it and how socially conscious your players are, Coach.
The one thing here at Notre Dame is, our kids we have very few kids from this area code in Indiana. They're from all over the country, from California to New Jersey. So a very diverse group, a very active group within our community, and so they're very much in touch with what's going on, whether it would have been the situation at Northwestern or certainly the social activism at Missouri. Our kids are in tune with it and clearly listen to it, understand it. We have a unity council that represents all of our different classes in our football team, and they bring issues to me. So we try to keep our hands on the pulse of it, and if there are issues that need to be addressed, we do it through that. But our kids are very much aware of what's going on in today's society.
I don't know if you know Coach Pinkel personally, but I'm wondering what you thought of the way he handled this.
Well, I thought it was handled terrifically. He was upfront. He was honest. I thought he spoke sincerely about, what his feelings were and, about what his job was. And he was the leader that he's been his entire career.
Okay, Coach Kelly. So just to sum up, you'd play a 13th game if you were allowed, correct?
Absolutely.
You would want 8 teams in if you had a vote on something like that.
Check the box.
Okay, check the box that there's still something cooking between my alma mater and your school to get back on your schedule. That is still alive, is what you're saying.
Check the box.
Check the box. And then on top of it, we still get along, even though I'm a Michigan guy, you're Notre Dame. I have pinstripes.
And you're an Yankees fan, and I'm a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, that's cool.
We're doing okay.
Excellent. Well, we've done it all. Coach, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on the show. Let's get you back on as soon as possible.
Take care, Rich.
You got it. That's Brian Kelly.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.